Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Bruno and I'm from the northeast of Europe in Lithuania. It would be nice if you would press subscribe and press like. It helps me. Just to let you know, today is some sort of day, 16th of July. And I've just finished watering all of my plants because today the temperature's going up to 35 degrees centigrade. So it's going to be quite hot. We're expecting thunderstorms and even a hailstorm, which is quite not unusual in Lithuania when the days are hot, because we have so many forests, rivers and lakes. Clouds start, because of the evaporation, clouds, the cumulus nimbus clouds start forming, and we get heavy rain showers, almost tropical downpours. Might have to put on the air conditioning to lower the temperatures a little bit, but that's okay. My plants don't seem to mind that because the air conditioner is not actually blowing right on them. But as I said, I've just finished watering all of them, and I usually use up about 8 to 10 liters of water because it is quite hot and the pots are drying out quite well. Today I basically want to talk about my Hoyas. There are things happening with them. I have some new Hoyas. So yeah, let's get into it. Now, let's start with the very first Hoya that I ever bought. And this one I bought, I think, in the end of September 2022 or in October 2022, when the big box stores started having sales of their plants, and this particular Hoya calyx was on a circular hoop, and I had it on that hoop for quite a while, and I've shown it to you before. It's takes up the most space. Just a minute. Here we go. This is my Hoya calyx. Yes, you see? It's big. It's on 3 of these bamboo poles that meet right at the top. And right at the top is the most active vine that I have. Tendril, vine, whatever you call it. And it's producing a little leaf here. There are leaves here and there everywhere else. I can see there's one sprouting here. And there's a few growth points that are activating. So this one I basically ignore. It's right in front of my mother grow light. So it does get a lot of light. A little bit slow growing. When it was still on the hoop, it used to sit on the windowsill of my south-facing window. And I think it was growing better there than it's growing now, but I just have to be a little bit patient because there's some big changes happening, which I'll get to right after we've done with the plants, okay? This was my very first one. Oh, let me get rid of that. You might have remember also one of my very old plants that I got was Hoya Australis Lisa, which I rotted twice and rerouted them, and unfortunately I had 2 cuttings originally, but when I rerouted them the second time, only one of them took, and it's this little one just here. But recently, locally, I bought another Hoya cutting of the Australis Lisa, and this is the one here, and it is sitting on the south-facing window, so it does get quite a bit of sunshine. It has lots of lovely new red growth. Those leaves still haven't hardened off, but the original ones are okay. So that's my Hoya Australis Lisa. Okay, it's a little bit close to my heart because I'm originally from Australia. So yeah, and hopefully this time I'm not going to rot them away. I've also bought, as a sort of a rescue plant, this Hoya Eye, which I bought in March 2023. as you can see, it's gone absolutely crazy here on the top. There's growths everywhere on the top, all over the place. New growths everywhere. New leaves, new tendrils, everything. Yes, just let go of each other, please. Now, it used to hang a little bit longer. These original leaves, these were much, much longer, but they were basically just hanging there and doing nothing. So I've chopped them back to about 6 or 8 quite long cuttings, and I've potted them up. And the results of the potting up is I'm still potting them up, propping them. Here's one of them. That's more or less what I've got in each one. They're in this fluvial stratum, which I really like. Not doing anything as far as sprouting, but it's got lovely roots there. It's got lovely roots there, and it's got a lovely root there. So it is rooting, and when it decides to send out some new tendrils, new growths, I'll pot them up and give them away or sell them. But as I mentioned before, I love this fluvial stratum because it's dark, it's slightly acidic, and I can see the roots when they're coming through. So that's something that I really like. Now, one of my other plants, and I don't really want to show you because it's a little bit embarrassing. I also, from when I bought the Hoya Eye from the same florist, I bought what I thought was a Curtsy Eye, but I understand it's a Electronosa Silva, and it's was hanging in my south-facing window. I've now moved it to my north-facing window, which gets a little bit of light from the side from the east, so it's north-northeast. But after it flowered, and it was the very first Hoya that flowered, and in the previous videos I've got clips of that, wonderful flower, beautiful aroma, sort of cinnamon and citrusy, but something's gone wrong with that particular Hoya. The leaves went all crinkly and very sort of soft. I thought I might have overwatered it. I thought I might have underwatered it, but I've checked the roots and I think it had root rot, which points the finger straight away at overwatering it. And the other thing I realized is that it would be much better to place this Hoya Leuconosa Silva in a much wider, shallower pot, hanging pot, because it sends out aerial roots everywhere. Almost at every node, there's aerial roots. And I believe that if you sort of pin them down in a much wider and shallower pot, these roots will take root and will have a much bushier plant. Now, the poor sick plant, I repotted it, keeping the watering under control, but it's alive. And and the interesting thing is the peduncle that finished flowering is pushing out some buds on its peduncle, so it's still alive. But I thought, well, I won't take the risk, and I will take some stem cuttings and put them in my prop box. So I've got 2 sets of them, but where's one of them? Here's one of them. It's sprung back to life. It's nice and healthy looking. It's sending out roots all over the place. And there, as I mentioned, I think a long time ago, there are 2 types of this Leuconosa in this particular pot when I bought it. There's this Silva, which used to be called Eskimo, but we don't call it Eskimo anymore. It's just called Leuconosa Silva. And then it also had this lovely dark green with a little bit of splash. Here we are, just a tiny, it's not going to focus, but tiny little bit of splash on the leaves. So I have this one, and I have 4 cuttings in the same type of pot in my prop box, with 2 silver cuttings and 2 of the dark green splashy cuttings. So eventually, when they do send out much deeper and much better formed roots, I'm going to pot them all up, the green in one shallow wide pot, hanging pot, and the silver in another. So I'll have 2 types in 2 different pots, because at the moment in the plant that's struggling, they were both planted in the same pot. So that's that. Now, I think it's probably the second Hoya I might have got, because I bought this as a 3-leaf cutting of Hoya Carry Eye in November 2022 locally, from a local lady who, she told me, and I've mentioned this before, she grew it from one of those 1-leaf heart-shaped props, cuttings, plants that you usually get for Valentine's Day, and there's usually nothing happens to them for 2 or 3 years, or there's about only a 10% chance that they're going to root up. It put out 2 new leaves. These 2 are new, and it's been hanging in my south-facing window, and after that, it basically did nothing. It just sat there, did nothing. I took the risk, and I thought, I'm going to repot it. It was in a very airy aeroid mix, but I've now mixed it into a very airy, almost a pond mix, but it's a pond mix with a little bit of cocoa peat, or cocoa coir as it's called, not coir, but cocoa coir. And because when I took it out of the pot, it basically had no roots at all. I mean, how it survived, how it pushed out 2 new leaves is a major mystery for me. But since I've repotted it in this pond and peat mixture, it has started to push out another little leaf. You probably won't see it, but it's coming out just there. So, it's a bit tight, so it's not releasing very easily from the soil, so from the substrate. So hopefully it's going to grow. This has probably been one of my slowest growing Hoyas, but yes, it had problems with its roots, and I see that it's probably going to push out either another new leaf or a growth point. I would really like to see a growth point, because I'd like to have a bigger version of this plant. Now, what shall we do next? Yes. Now, I did get some plants. One of my other oldies but goodies is my Hoya calistophylla. It is such a slow growing Hoya for me. It's on the windowsill facing east, so it gets a little bit of sunshine. It did put out a new leaf, which is this smallest one, but I really think, because of all the bumps and things it has where it always tries to put out a new growth point or a new leaf, and they seem to callus over, I made the decision that it probably has these flat mites. So it's had 2 treatments for flat mites. There's nothing new happening. It just looks nice, but I would like it to look nicer. And since it's one of the oldest ones I've had, and it's survived being sent to me in absolutely freezing temperatures, I'd like to see it do something. But yeah, there is sort of some signs of life, that is a new leaf or a growth point coming up. But I always say that about this plant, because they start forming and then boom, they callus over. So I think I'll give it another flat mite treatment today. Not very easy in Lithuania to find soluble sulfur powder, but I did find in a nursery shop some powder which is for mites on plants, and amongst other things, it's soluble and it contains 60% of sulfur. So I'll keep giving this a try and try to resurrect it. Okay. Now, I did get quite a few plants from Hoya Fixation in the Netherlands. Not the Netherlands. Sorry, Hoya Fixation. From Finland. Now, this was one of them. This is the Hoya Bella inner variegated. I got this on the 12th of April, 2023. If I remember correctly, when I got it, it was a cutting about this long, and I chopped it in two, and only one of the cuttings survived. So this one is, this is all from here. It's all new growth. The last time I showed you this, it was pushing out a peduncle, but it blasted that peduncle in favor of putting out new leaves. There's no peduncle, but new leaves. And it's growing in front of my mother grow light. So it likes it there. It's also in a pon and cocoa peat mixture with just a little bit of cocoa peat, not too much. Also, I have to keep an eye on this that I don't underwater it because it's a small leaf plant. They like more moisture. So it's alive, it's well. Another one that I got from Hoya Fixation back in, when was it? What did I just say? Hoya Fixation, my goodness. Yeah, anyway, can't remember. But this is also from Hoya Fixation. This is also in April 2023. And this is the one I always think is the tongue twister. It's Ching this one actually was a success. It was one long cutting, which I cut into two and potted it up, rooted it up in my prop box. And I have, this one has a nice growth point and it's growing. And this one has a nice growth point and it's growing. And this is sitting in my northeast facing kitchen windowsill. I did think that these two were a little bit lonely. So I bought another unrooted cutting of Ching from Hoya Passion in Poland. I bought a few, just to say that I was very pleased with the experience I had with them. They arrived here very quickly. They were all unrooted cuttings, wrapped in just moist tissue paper, and not overly wet, not overly dry, all nice and healthy. But what did surprise, well, of course they arrived here quickly because, you know, Poland is right next door. But what did surprise me is the size of the cuttings. I sort of did expect them to be a bit bigger, but this is one of them. And this is the Ching. And in the prop box under my grow light, it has pushed out a new growth point. It's also in this fluval stratum. And as you can see, it's pushing out new roots, and normally what happens in my experience is that these aerial roots that come up above the stratum eventually grow down into the stratum and all the way down. Okay, that's that. Oh, another one that I got from Poland. It's not doing anything at the moment, but I showed it to you before. It's Hoya Papasean. No roots yet, but it is alive. It's sort of slightly variegated. The veins in the middle of the top leaves, which are closest to the light. Yeah. So maybe it's a bit of sun stress, but it's alive, it's well. Can't see any roots yet. No, not going to play with it. And I just see the absolute whisper of perhaps a growth point starting there. Another one that I got from Poland, from Hoya Passion, and this was after I saw Miro on Basie plants, took up the challenge, was this Hoya species NS12-323, which is also called a micro dwarf. Well, as I mentioned before, nobody has ever got this to flower, but you know, it's tiny. It's a tiny, tiny plant, but it's pushed out a new leaf right here at the bottom, and it's pushing out a tiny, tiny, you just might just see a sliver, I don't know, but it's that tiny little thing there next to my fingernail. It's pushing out a new leaf there. So it's alive. Okay, I've only had them for like 2 or 3 weeks, so you know I don't expect much. The stratum is damp, so I hydrate them with distilled water. So that's that. So they're the Polish ones. I do have another Hoya, which I can't show you because I forgot to take it down from the balustrade way up there. It's quite a bushy Hoya Crimson Princess, the one with the white variegation in the middle. But next time I'll show you that one. Now, I did get a plant, new one, from Betsy, from Betsy Begonia, who has a store called Hoya My Gosh. And I bought wherever it is, sorry, 1 minute, I'm back. I bought a rooted cutting, it was small, but I've wanted this for a long, long time. This is the Hoya, let's turn it this way. This is the Hoya Kiliana, variegated, absolutely lovely. Hoya My Gosh is in France, yes, and I got she sent it last Monday, and I got it on the Thursday. I might have even received it on the Wednesday, but Vilnius Center was closed for the NATO summit, so I got it on the Thursday. So I might have got it on the Wednesday because I got the notification that it had arrived on the Wednesday. But no way to get to me because all the inner city streets were closed to traffic. Now, it is a rooted cutting, and I've wanted this for a long, long time. Let me go there. It does have a growth point, and it's pushing something out. It's either going to be a leaf, or I think it's going to be a leaf. So I'm waiting for the day when this is nice and bushy and hanging on all the sides, because it's just an absolutely beautiful Hoya. I love this Hoya. And thanks to Betsy at Hoya My Gosh, she sent me a gift. And I got a 1 leaf cutting of a plant called, it's a Hoya Verticilata, but I really like it because it's heart-shaped, it's splashy, it's crinkly, just loved it. Came as a gift, absolutely unnecessary, but very much appreciated. And it's in this fluval stratum, and I'm really, really hopeful that it will root, and I'll have a nice plant because I just love the leaf, its shape, its structure, and the splashiness of it. So, thanks to Hoya My Gosh. Now, an update on some other plants that I got from this one. This one is from Finland. Yep. This is my Hoya Imperialis Red. It's from Hoya Fixation. It's also from March 2023. And all of this is new. Every time it puts out 2 new leaves, it pushes out a peduncle, and nothing ever happens with those peduncles. It goes a little bit yellow and then falls off. So it has 2 more new leaves coming out. No, sorry, I'm mixing this up. No, erase. This one has not yet pushed out a peduncle, but it's on my balustrade. It gets about 4 to 5 hours of sunshine from the morning till about midday. And it was took of all the cuttings I've bought, this took the longest to root, but it now has, because it's a Hoya Imperialis Red, it's producing, you can see roots there, roots there. It is producing a vigorous root system because this particular plant is a very, very vigorous plant. So it's up the top, it gets lots and lots of sunshine. It's not bothered by it. I did acclimatize it. When I took it out of the prop box, I was playing musical windowsills for 2 weeks, just moving the plant wherever the sun was shining, for half an hour, a little bit longer if it was morning sunshine, a little bit shorter if it was afternoon sun. But it's not sun stressing. It's showing maybe a little bit of bleaching on this leaf. But anyway, it is growing extremely well because this is all new. Very, very vigorous growing plant. So this is my Hoya Imperialis Red, and very vigorous root system it has there. Now, when I bought all my plants from Hoya Fixation, they sent me a free gift. Another very nice little thing. Now this is one of these, this is it here. I've shown it to you before. From this leaf here, this is all new. I love these leaves. It's on the windowsill that is facing east, so it gets morning sunshine for a few hours. New leaves, there's a new leaf coming out. I think it's sprouting a new growth point and it's alive and well. Now this was labeled as a Hoya Papasean Coranda Creek, but Hoya Papasean does not exist. Coranda Creek is in Australia, and this is where this particular species was found. So technically, if it's from Australia and it's labelled as a Hoya Papasean, the correct label should say that it's a Hoya Nicholsonii Coranda Creek. But it's growing very well. It's, and I see from the back that they have dark edges, which don't quite see from the front, but very evident from the back. So, and it's growing very nicely in one of my homemade chicken wire frames. So, and I'll have to attach it a little bit up there, because once they realize they've grabbed onto something, they grow even better. So that's that one. Yes, this is the one I wanted to show you. This is also from Finland, from Hoya Fixation. This is my Hoya multiflora outer variegated. Well, outer variegated not by much. There's a little bit of variegation you can see here. And it basically has its variegation on the leaf edges. Very thin leaves. This is the one that pushes out peduncles, and it has another one coming out. Well, the peduncle that I showed you last time fell off 2 days later, and now it's pushing out another one. No, this is the same one. It's just pushing out new buds. So the peduncle didn't fall off, but it blasted all its buds. This is one that I have to keep in mind that needs to be quite damp without being soaking wet. So it needs to be watered reasonably regularly because it has quite thin leaves. They're not thick and succulent, and they're not storing much leaves. So, okay, and I can see, oh God, let's have a look in there. Yes, there's 2 more new leaves coming out, and pushing out between the middle of them is another peduncle. So maybe this time it will have an actual flowering peduncle, and it won't blast the buds, or the peduncle itself won't turn yellow and fall off. But this is also on my northeast facing window, so it gets quite a bit of sunshine in the morning from the side, not directly onto it, and it's enjoying life. And it was the fastest growing cutting to develop a root system in my prop box. So that's wonderful. Now, I bought a Hoya recently from, no, where's the other one? Ah, here we are. I bought locally a Hoya Sunrise, and it's put out, rooted. No, Yes, rooted, Hoya rooted cutting. It's pushed out this new leaf here, this tiny little leaf that's coming out. It's pushing out a new little growth stem and a new little leaf right there. And somewhere else, yes. And these two leaves here, this one and this one, these are new. Now, this Hoya loves to get sun stressed, but it's not. It's also growing up there with the Hoya Imperialis Red. So it gets sunshine from morning for 3 to 4 hours. But, you know, it's pushing out new leaves. It's got 2 new leaves. It's pushing out 2 more new leaves. So it is enjoying it up there and getting lots and lots of sun. So that's that one. Don't know where it was. Okay, that's it. And one more new Hoya that I have, and it's none of the, yes it is, here, no, here, this is not a new one. This is one that I also got from Finland. It's a Hoya CV Jennifer. This is its newest leaf. It is producing a growth, so it's alive. So, and from watching YouTubers, I realized that this one needs a frame to grow. Best to grow on a frame. So it's potted up here. It's also on the windowsill, facing south, east. So it gets morning sunshine. And the very last one I want to show you is I also bought locally, I think it cost me 10 euros, a Hoya Lobby Eye. And it's from another city. And the lady that sold me this also sold me the Hoya Australis Lisa's cutting. That cutting was about, I think it was 4, 5 euros, and this was 10. But this is a Lobby Eye. This, it's produced a new leaf, and it's producing a peduncle. See? Right at the very top. It's pushing out a new peduncle. But the Lobby Eye is, it's got a tiny little bit of splash on the older leaves, but I think in growth, very, very, very similar to the multiflora. So it's a lot. It's also on my kitchen windowsill facing north-northeast, because I thought, well, if the multiflora is growing well up there, your cousin, the Lobby Eye, is going to grow quite well up there. Or your distant cousin, might not be a close relative. So that's more or less the end of the Hoyas, coming to a close. Can't buy any more plants now for the while, because there's some big changes. I've sold my apartment, and I've bought a 3-story townhouse. And one of the things that I took into consideration when I went to look at some townhouses was, where are the windows? And this particular townhouse that I bought, on the first floor, or if you're from the UK or Australia, on the ground floor, is a kitchen and dining room, quite big, and it has wall-to-wall, floor-to-floor windows that face south. If I go up to the second floor, let's now talk European, second floor, the middle floor, that's the living room. It also has wall-to-wall, floor-to-floor, wall-to-wall, ceiling-to-floor, south-facing windows. And on the top floor, the third floor, or the second floor, if you're from Australia or from the UK, is the master bedroom. It faces north, but the guest bedroom has a big window, also floor to ceiling, facing south. So there's another place where I can grow plants. And the good thing is that all of these windows have lovely sheer curtains. So I can draw the curtains if the sun is too bright, or if I want to give the plants a blast of sunshine, I can pull the curtains back. So I will probably be offline, not producing any clips for a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks maybe less, maybe longer, because I'm in the process of sorting through everything, you know what it's like when you have to move. You find, I mean, where I live now, I've been here for 16 years, and there's just so much junk that we accumulate. I really think that, a lot of us people have the genes of squirrels. We hoard things, and then, and I've just come to the decision that if it's in the cupboard, whether it be clothes or stuff, if I haven't physically touched it for 5 years, out it goes. It's time to sweep clean and get ready for the move. So the next time we see each other, I'll be showing you the initial setup of my plants in the new townhouse. The plan I have at the moment is that my Hoyas will be taking over the dining room window area, and all my other aeroids will be in the living room by the window there. And a couple of others that perhaps prefer a little bit less intense light, like the aglaonemas, they might be spread in other places, in the bedroom or somewhere else like that. But until the next time, with surprising views of my new living arrangements, please take care, look after yourselves. 35 degrees here in Vilnius today, so that's quite hot. So if you're in one of the European countries where heat wave has gone crazy this year, keep out of the direct sun, wear a hat, and drink lots and lots of water. So until next time, ciao, bye.